The council froze the moment. Humanity left the table. The grand chamber stretched across half a kilometer. Minho stood at the human delegation table and looked up at the curved ceiling that showed the stars outside. 47 different species had seats in this room. Humanity had been here for 80 years, which made them the youngest members by far. Minho adjusted his translation earpiece as the council speaker called the session to order. The speaker was a Velthrian, a being made of living crystal that reflected light in strange patterns. When it spoke, the sound came from vibrations in its body. "We gather today to address a matter of galactic security," the speaker announced. Its voice echoed through the chamber. "The human expansion must be contained." Hana sat next to Minho. She was Earth's military advisor, though she wore no uniform today. Her hand tightened on the armrest. On Minho's other side, Taeyang pulled up data on his tablet. He was their head scientist. A Morphid delegate rose from the water tank that served as its seat. The aquatic creature's translator box crackled to life. "In 80 years, humans have spread to 23 worlds. No other species has expanded so quickly. This rate is unsustainable and dangerous." Minho wanted to stand and argue, but he knew the rules. He had to wait to be recognized. A Krell floated forward. The Krell were telepathic beings who looked like silver mist shaped into something almost human. "We have reviewed Earth's colonial activities," it said directly into everyone's minds. "Your population growth exceeds safe parameters. Your military production violates the spirit of galactic peace." "That's not true," Hana whispered. "We've followed every regulation." "Quiet," Minho said softly. "Let them finish." The speaker's crystalline body pulsed with light. "The Council has prepared a protective framework for humanity. You will surrender all military vessels except for system defense craft. You will dismantle your orbital weapons platforms. You will submit to Council oversight for all colonial expansion." Minho felt his stomach drop. They wanted to strip Earth of its defenses. "Furthermore," the speaker continued, "human colonies beyond the 10th world will be frozen. No new settlements will be approved for the next century. This will allow your species to stabilize." Taeyang leaned close to Minho. "They're putting us in a cage," he whispered. The speaker's voice rang out again. "Ambassador Minho, you may speak." Minho stood slowly. He had prepared arguments, data, proof that humanity posed no threat. But looking at the faces and forms around the chamber, he saw something that made him pause. Fear. They were afraid of humans. "Honored Council," Minho began, "Earth requests time to consult with our government. This is a significant decision that affects billions of people." "Request denied," the speaker said immediately. "The vote will proceed today. The matter is urgent." "Urgent?" Hana stood up beside Minho, forgetting protocol. "We've been peaceful members for 80 years. What's suddenly urgent?" A rumble of disapproval moved through the chamber. The speaker's light pulsed faster. "Advisor Hana, you are out of order. Sit down." Minho put a hand on Hana's shoulder. She sat, but her face was red with anger. "The Council will deliberate for 2 hours," the speaker announced. "The human delegation will wait in the antechamber. When we call you back, the vote will be final. You will accept our protection, or you will face sanctions." The word sanctions hung in the air like a threat. Minho gathered his team. Suji, their intelligence officer, had already packed up her equipment. Doyun, the youngest member of their group, looked pale. They walked through the massive doors into the waiting area. As soon as the doors closed behind them, Hana exploded. "Protection? They're trying to neuter us!" "Keep your voice down," Suji said, pointing at the walls. "These rooms are monitored." Minho sat heavily in a chair. "Taeyang, what's your analysis?" The scientist pulled up charts on his tablet. "If we accept their terms, Earth's economy will collapse within 10 years. 40% of our GDP comes from the outer colonies. Our population needs those worlds, and without our defense fleet, he trailed off. We'd be helpless, Hana finished, dependent on them for everything. Do-yoon spoke up. His voice was quiet. Has any species ever said no to the council? Everyone looked at him. Suji shook her head. Not in recorded history. Every species that joins eventually accepts full integration. What does that mean? Do-yoon asked. Full integration? Suji pulled up her own data. It means they give up independence. The council makes all major decisions. Technology is shared, which sounds good, but it also means the council approves all innovations. Culture becomes homogenized. Military forces are disbanded except for token peacekeeping. Minho felt a chill. Show me the economic data for other council species. Taeyang and Suji worked together, pulling up decades of information. What they found made everyone go silent. No major technological breakthroughs in 800 years, Taeyang said slowly. Not from any council species. Population growth has flatlined across the board, Suji added. Some species are actually declining. Hana leaned forward. They're stagnant, all of them. The council doesn't promote cooperation, it enforces conformity. Minho stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see human ships docked at the station. Beyond them, the stars stretched endlessly. Humanity had reached for those stars with everything they had. They had built, explored, and grown. Yes, they had made mistakes, but they had never stopped moving forward. What if we leave? Minho said quietly. The room went silent, even suggesting it felt like breaking a sacred rule. Is that even possible? Do-yoon asked. Suji was already searching the council charter. Her fingers flew across her tablet. Then she stopped. Article 47, Section 3. Any member species may withdraw from the council with formal notification. No species has invoked this clause in over 2,000 years. Because no one has been crazy enough to try, Hana said. But she was smiling. Minho turned to face his team. If we stay and accept their terms, humanity as we know it ends. We become like them, safe, controlled, and slowly dying. And if we leave? Taeyang asked. We'd be alone, Minho said. No council protection. No guaranteed trade agreements. We'd have to survive on our own. Hana stood up. We've been doing that since we climbed down from the trees. I say we can handle it. One by one, the others nodded. Minho took a deep breath. He was about to make the biggest decision in human history. But as he looked at his team, he knew it was the right one. Then let's show them what humans do when someone tries to cage us, he said. Outside, the 2 hours were almost up. Soon they would be called back to the chamber. Minho began preparing his response. It would be short, it would be clear, and it would change everything. The council froze the moment humanity left the table. The chamber doors opened exactly 2 hours later. Minho led his team back inside. The curved walls seemed to press down on them now. Every delegate from every species watched as the humans took their seats. The Velthrian speaker's crystalline body caught the light. Ambassador Minho, the council has reached its decision. Before we announce the vote, you may make a final statement. Minho stood. His heart pounded, but his voice was steady. Honored Council, I thank you for your deliberation. However, I must inform you that Earth declines your ultimatum. A confused murmur rippled through the chamber. The speaker tilted its massive form. You misunderstand. This is not an ultimatum. This is protection. With respect, Minho said, we understand perfectly, and our answer is no. The murmur grew louder. The Morphid delegate's tank bubbled violently. You cannot refuse council protection. No species refuses. Minho reached into his jacket and pulled out a data chip. Suji had prepared it during their 2-hour wait. Article 47, Section 3 of the Council Charter. I hereby invoke Earth's right to withdraw from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. For 3 full seconds, no one moved. No one spoke. The chamber was frozen. Then chaos erupted. Delegates shouted in a dozen languages. The Krell's telepathic presence flooded the room with confusion and anger. The speaker's body pulsed with rapid, unstable light. "Order!" the speaker's voice boomed. "This is unprecedented! No species has invoked Article 47 in 2 millennia!" "Then it's about time someone did," Hana said, standing beside Minho. The Krell delegate floated forward, its misty form darkening. "You do not understand what you are doing. The galaxy is dangerous. You need our protection." "Do we?" Taeyang stood now, holding up his tablet. "Because from what we've seen, the most dangerous thing in this galaxy is stagnation. And that's what you're offering." Suji activated a transmission. Data flooded into the council network. Every delegate's screen lit up with information. Files, reports, historical records that Suji had spent months compiling. "What is this?" the speaker demanded. "The truth," Suji said calmly. "Records of every species that joined the council in the last 1,000 years. Notice a pattern?" The chamber went quiet as delegates reviewed the data. Minho watched their faces change as they saw what humanity had discovered. Every species followed the same path: initial welcome, rapid integration, gradual restrictions on military and expansion, then cultural homogenization, then stagnation, every single one. "The Karathi used to be master engineers," Taeyang said, pointing to one record. 500 years ago, they were developing quantum tunneling technology. Now they build nothing new. They maintain what they have. "The Plenari were explorers," Hana added. "They mapped 40 star systems before joining the council. In the 300 years since, they've explored exactly 0 new worlds." A Karathi delegate stood, its mechanical limbs clicking. "That is not fair. We chose peace over expansion. We chose stability." "Did you choose?" Doyen asked. He was young and his voice shook slightly, but he didn't back down. "Or did the council convince you that wanting more was dangerous?" The speaker's light pulsed faster. "This is irrelevant. The council has kept peace for 3,000 years. "At what cost?" Minho asked. He walked toward the center of the chamber. "You've created a galaxy of museum pieces, species that stopped growing, stopped innovating, stopped dreaming. You call it peace. We call it death." A small delegate from the Frel species stood. The Frel were insectoid, barely a meter tall. "Ambassador Minho, I must ask, are you accusing the council of intentional suppression?" Minho paused. This was the dangerous moment. "No, I think the council believes it is doing good, but the result is the same. You are so afraid of conflict that you have eliminated all possibility of progress." The Velthrian speaker's voice dropped to a low vibration. "And what will humanity do? Expand forever? Consume resources without limit? This is the path to war." "Maybe," Minho admitted. "Maybe we'll make mistakes. Maybe we'll have conflicts. But we'll also build new things, discover new ideas, grow in ways we can't predict. That's worth the risk." The Krell delegate's telepathic voice filled everyone's mind. "You will not survive alone. There are dangers in the void. Pirates, hostile species beyond council space, cosmic phenomena that can destroy entire civilizations. Without our protection, humanity will fall." Minho met the Krell's silver gaze. "Then we'll fall. But at least we'll fall while reaching for something greater, not while sitting in a comfortable cage." Hana stepped forward and placed a data cube on the human delegation table. "This contains all of Earth's research contributions to the Council over the past 80 years. Consider it our final gift. You're welcome to use it however you wish." The speaker's body dimmed slightly. "If you leave with nothing. No trade agreements, no council protection, no access to shared technology. Your colonies will be isolated." "Our colonies are already thriving," Taeyang said. "They don't need the council's technology. They're creating their own." This was true. While the Council had been focused on controlling human expansion, it had overlooked what those colonies were actually doing. Human scientists were innovating at a rate the Council hadn't seen in centuries. New farming techniques, new construction methods, new ways of thinking about old problems. Suji added one final document to the data stream. This is a list of 12 species outside Council space. Species you call primitive or not ready. We've been talking to them. They're interested in trade, in cultural exchange, in cooperation without control. The chamber erupted again. Trading with non-Council species wasn't illegal, but it was strongly discouraged. The Council preferred to keep younger species isolated until they could be properly integrated. "You are making a catastrophic mistake," the speaker said. Its voice was no longer angry. It sounded almost sad. "The chaos you will unleash cannot be predicted." Minho nodded slowly. "You're absolutely right. We can't predict it. That's the point. Predictability is another word for stagnation." He looked at his team. They all nodded. It was time. "Effective immediately, Earth withdraws all delegates from the Galactic Council. Our embassy will close within 30 days. We will honor all existing trade contracts until their expiration, but we will negotiate no new ones under Council terms." Minho began walking toward the exit. His team followed. The massive chamber doors stood open before them. The Krell's voice echoed in their minds one last time. "You will regret this. The galaxy will break you." Minho stopped at the threshold. He turned back to face the assembled council. 47 species, representing billions of beings, all watching him. "Maybe," Minho said quietly, "but at least we'll break while trying to build something. Not while sitting here afraid to try at all." He walked through the doors. Hana followed, then Taeyang, then Suji, then Do-yun. Their footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Behind them, the council chamber remained frozen. Delegates stared at the empty human table. The speaker's crystalline form barely glowed. In 3,000 years of council history, no one had ever just walked away. As the doors closed behind the human delegation, something changed in that chamber. Some delegates felt anger, others felt fear, but a very few, felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries. They felt curious about what would happen next, and in a galaxy that had forgotten how to change, curiosity was the most dangerous thing of all. The council froze the moment. Humanity left the table. The first week after the walkout was quiet, too quiet. Minho stood in Earth's embassy building and watched as staff packed centuries of accumulated belongings, paintings, sculptures, gifts from other species, all being carefully loaded into shipping containers. Hana walked into his office without knocking. "The council sent another message." "What does it say?" "Same as the last 5. They want to negotiate our return. They're offering concessions. We can keep 15 colonies instead of 10. We can maintain a slightly larger defense fleet." Hana tossed the datapad onto Minho's desk. "They still don't get it." Minho picked up the pad and read the formal language. The council was treating this like a business negotiation. They thought humanity was trying to get better terms. "They think we're bluffing," he said. "Let them think that," Taeyang said from the doorway. "In the meantime, our ships are already moving." This was true. The moment Earth announced its withdrawal, something remarkable happened. Every human colony, every station, every ship received the same message. Earth is leaving the council. Choose your path. Not a single colony chose to stay. Within days, human vessels began repositioning. Trade ships stopped serving council worlds and redirected to the independent species Suji had identified. Military vessels formed new patrol patterns. Science ships headed for unexplored systems that the council had marked as off-limits. Suji entered carrying her ever-present tablet. "The council is panicking." They sent observers to monitor our colonies. When they saw the activity, they filed a complaint about unauthorized expansion. "We're not council members anymore," Doyen said. He was organizing files, but he smiled as he worked. "We don't need their authorization." Hana pulled up a star map. Red dots showed council space. Blue dots showed human colonies. Green dots showed the independent species who had agreed to meet with human representatives. "Look at this. The council territory hasn't changed in 300 years. Same borders, same systems. They stopped exploring." "Because exploration is unpredictable," Taeyang said, "and the council eliminated unpredictability." A chime announced an incoming transmission. Minho accepted it. The face of Admiral Jiwon appeared on the screen. She commanded Earth's home fleet. "Ambassador, we have a situation. A Velthrian warship group just entered the Kepler colony system. They're demanding the colonists submit to council authority." Minho felt his blood run cold. "How many ships?" 12 heavy cruisers. Kepler only has 3 defense platforms." Hana was already pulling up tactical data. "Kepler is our newest colony. Only 8,000 people. If the council is targeting them, it's to make an example." Minho made a decision. "Admiral Jiwon, how fast can you get ships to Kepler? We have a battle group 6 hours away, but Ambassador, if we engage council ships, that's an act of war." "We're not going to engage them," Minho said. "We're going to talk to them, but I want them to see what they're dealing with." 8 hours later, Minho stood on the bridge of a human diplomatic vessel. It was small, unarmed, and built for speed. Beside him, Hana monitored the tactical situation. "We're entering Kepler system now," the pilot announced. The view screen showed 12 Velthrian cruisers in orbit around Kepler's only inhabited planet. They were beautiful ships, crystalline structures that looked like frozen lightning, but they were also old. The newest one was over 200 years old. "Open a channel to the Velthrian commander," Minho ordered. A Velthrian appeared on screen. Its crystalline body pulsed with aggressive red light. "Human vessel, you are trespassing in a contested system. Leave immediately." "This is Ambassador Minho of Earth. Kepler is a human colony, settled under our rights as an independent species. You are the ones trespassing." "Incorrect. The colonists are former council members. They fall under council jurisdiction." "They were never council members," Minho said calmly. "They're citizens of Earth, and Earth has withdrawn from the council. Therefore, they are free citizens of an independent nation." The Velthrian commander's light pulsed faster. "Semantics. We are here to restore order. The colonists will submit to council authority, or we will use force." Hana touched Minho's arm and pointed at her tactical screen. Minho glanced at it and allowed himself a small smile. "Commander, before you do something you'll regret, I suggest you check your sensor readings." There was a pause. Then the Velthrian's light flickered with what might have been surprise. "What is this?" "That," Minho said, "is what happens when you threaten humans." The tactical display showed the truth. 24 human warships had arrived in the system. They hadn't announced themselves. They had simply appeared, using jump calculations that brought them out of FTL in perfect formation around the Velthrian group. "How did you—" the Velthrian commander started. "Our jump technology doesn't require the long exit vectors council ships use," Hana explained. "We can exit FTL much closer to our target. It's one of the innovations we developed while trying to comply with council restrictions." The human ships weren't firing. They weren't even powering weapons. They just sat there, surrounding the Velthrian vessels. "You are outnumbered," the Velthrian commander said, but its voice lacked confidence. "Are we?" Minho asked. "Count again." The tactical display updated. More human ships were arriving, not military vessels this time, but civilian ships, freighters, colony transports, mining vessels. All of them converged on Kepler, showing solidarity with the colony. Within an hour, there were over 100 human ships in the system. The Council's 12 cruisers were surrounded by a swarm. This is an illegal gathering, the Velthrian protested. No, Minho said. This is what a free people look like. Every ship here chose to come. No one ordered them. No one forced them. When they heard Kepler was threatened, they came to help. The Velthrian's light dimmed. The Council will not tolerate this defiance. The Council will accept reality, Minho said firmly. You can fire on us if you want, but ask yourself, what happens then? Can 12 ships defeat 100? And even if you win here, what about the next human colony you threaten? And the one after that? He leaned forward. Commander, I know you're following orders, but those orders are based on a galaxy that doesn't exist anymore. Humanity isn't going back to the Council. We're not going to submit. You can either accept that, or you can start a war you cannot win. The Velthrian's crystal body pulsed through several colors. Minho recognized the pattern. The commander was communicating with someone far away. The Council leadership, probably. Minutes passed. The human ships held position. No weapons charged, no aggressive movements. They just waited. Finally, the Velthrian spoke. We are withdrawing, but the Council will remember this. So will we, Minho said quietly. The 12 Velthrian cruisers turned and accelerated away from Kepler. Their jump vectors were long and predictable, just as Hana had said. The Council ships needed 20 minutes to reach safe jump distance. The human ships watched them go. When the last Velthrian vessel jumped away, cheers erupted on Minho's bridge. Similar celebrations happened across the human fleet. The colonists on Kepler below sent messages of thanks. But Minho didn't celebrate. He looked at the star map, at the vast territory of Council space, and thought about what just happened. They'll be back, Hana said quietly, reading his thoughts. I know. But not like this. Next time, they'll try something different. Taeyang was reviewing the sensor data from the encounter. Our jump technology really surprised them. They had no idea we could do that. That's because the Council stopped innovating, Suji said. They forgot that other species might not stop. Doyeon looked at Minho. What do we do now? Minho watched the stars on the view screen. Somewhere out there, the Council was meeting, trying to understand what just happened. They were afraid, and fear made people do dangerous things. But humanity had crossed a line. There was no going back now. Now, Minho said, we show the galaxy what humans can build when nobody tells us we can't. The Council froze the moment. Humanity left the table. 6 months after the standoff at Kepler, the galaxy began to change in ways no one predicted. Yuna sat in her new office on the station called Freedom Point. It wasn't a fancy place. Humans had built it quickly in neutral space, far from Council territory. But it had become the most important diplomatic hub in the galaxy. She reviewed the morning reports. 3 more species had formally requested meetings with human representatives. 2 of them were Council members. Ambassador Yuna? Her assistant, Kyung, entered with more data pads. The Frel delegation is here early. They seem nervous. Yuna smiled. The Frel were the small insectoid species who had spoken up during Minho's famous walkout. Send them in. 3 Frel entered her office. Their chitinous bodies clicked as they walked. The lead delegate's translator buzzed to life. Ambassador Yuna, we bring a secret message from our government. I'm listening. The Frel wish to withdraw from the Council. But we are afraid. We are small. We have no military strength. If we leave, the Council might punish us. Yuna had heard similar concerns from others. What do you need from us? Protection. A trade agreement. Access to your technology. The Frel's antennae trembled. We know this is much to ask. It's not protection you need, Yuna said gently. It's partnership, and that's something we can offer. She pulled up the document her team had prepared. It was called the Free Systems Agreement. Simple terms. No species would dominate another. Technology would be shared freely. Disputes would be resolved through negotiation, not force. And most importantly, every species kept full independence. The Frel delegates read it carefully. This is very different from the council charter. That's the point, Una said. We're not trying to build another council. We're building something new. 2 weeks later, the Frel formally withdrew from the council. 3 days after that, the plenary followed. Then the Karathi. Within a month, 6 species had left the council and joined what humans were calling the Free Systems Coalition. The council's response was swift. They imposed trade sanctions on any species that joined the coalition. They sent diplomatic protests. They demanded emergency sessions. And then the reality of what they had done became clear. Hannah stood in Earth's strategic command and watched the economic data scroll across her screens. The sanctions are hurting them more than us. General Yun nodded. He was old for a military officer, but his mind was sharp. Explain. Human trade routes carried 40% of the galaxy's shipping. When we left the council, we stopped serving their worlds. They thought they could replace us quickly. They were wrong. The data told the story. Council worlds that had relied on human agricultural technology were experiencing food shortages. Systems that depended on human logistics were facing delays. And worst of all, the Council's own bureaucracy couldn't adapt fast enough. They built their entire economy on the assumption that nothing would change, Hannah continued. They're not equipped for disruption. Taeyang entered the command center with urgent news. We have a breakthrough. The fusion efficiency problem we've been working on, solved. Our ships can now travel 3 times farther on the same fuel. How? Hyun asked. By ignoring council safety protocols. Their regulations required redundant systems that actually reduced efficiency. Without those restrictions, our engineers found a better way. This was happening across human space. Without council oversight, human innovation exploded. New farming techniques increased food production by 60%. New construction methods allowed colonies to be built in half the time. New medical treatments extended lifespans by decades. The council had promised that leaving would destroy humanity. Instead, humanity was thriving. But not everyone was happy about it. Suji burst into the command center. We have a problem. The Velthrians are mobilizing their fleet, 300 ships heading toward our border. The room went silent. 300 ships was the largest military movement in council history. Are they going to attack? Hyun asked. Unknown. But they've asked for a meeting. They want Minho. Minho arrived at Freedom Point 3 days later. He looked tired. Leading humanity through this transition had taken its toll, but his eyes were still sharp. They're trying to intimidate us, he said, reviewing the intelligence. Show the galaxy that leaving the council has consequences. Will it work? Yuna asked. Minho smiled sadly. For some species, yes. Fear is powerful. But for us, no. We've already crossed the line. There's no going back. The meeting was scheduled in neutral space. Minho took only Hana and Taeyang with him. The Velthrian fleet waited at the designated coordinates, a show of force that was impossible to miss. The Velthrian speaker itself had come. Minho had never seen it leave council space before. Its massive crystalline body filled half the view screen. Ambassador Minho, the speaker's voice resonated through the ship. We must talk about the future. I'm listening. The council cannot allow this chaos to continue. 6 species have left. Dozens more are considering it. The order we have maintained for 3 millennia is collapsing. That's not our fault, Minho said. We didn't force anyone to leave. They chose to. Because you showed them it was possible. The speaker's body pulsed with angry light. For 3,000 years, no species dared to leave. They accepted our guidance. Then you walked away and everything fell apart. Hana spoke up. Maybe it needed to fall apart. Maybe your order was built on fear, not strength. You know nothing of what we have protected this galaxy from, the speaker said. There are dangers beyond your comprehension. Hostile species, ancient weapons, cosmic forces that can destroy civilizations. The Council has kept all of you safe. By making us weak, Taeyang said, by stopping us from growing strong enough to protect ourselves. The speaker dimmed. And if we go to war? If we use our 300 ships to force you back into compliance? What then? Minho had prepared for this moment. He pulled up his own tactical display. Then you lose. The speaker pulsed with confusion. You have fewer ships than us. Numbers aren't everything. Our ships are faster, more efficient, more advanced. And more importantly, our people are motivated. They're fighting for freedom. What are your crews fighting for? He leaned forward. But here's what really matters. Even if you win, even if you destroy every human ship, what have you gained? You'll have started a war that will split the galaxy. Species will choose sides. The peace you've protected for 3,000 years will be gone. Then what do you suggest? The speaker asked. Acceptance. Let us go. Let the other species who want to leave go. Adapt to a galaxy that has more than one power structure. That is chaos. No, Minho said firmly. That's freedom. And maybe chaos is better than the alternative. The speaker's light pulsed through several colors. Minho recognized the pattern now. It was thinking, communicating with the other council leaders. We cannot agree to this, it finally said. But we will not start a war today. The council will withdraw its fleet. But know this, Ambassador Minho. This situation cannot continue indefinitely. Then the council needs to change, Minho said, because we're not going back. The communication ended. The Velthrian fleet turned and began the long journey back to council space. On Minho's ship, Hana let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That was close. They'll be back, Taeyang said. I know, Minho replied, but not today. And every day we have, we get stronger. We build more. We innovate more. We connect with more species. Yuna's voice came over the communication system. Minho, you need to see this. The Krell just requested a meeting, a private meeting. They don't want the rest of the council to know. Minho looked at his companions. The Krell were the most powerful telepathic species in the galaxy. If they were reaching out secretly, something had changed. Set it up, he said. Let's see what they want. As their ship turned toward Freedom Point, Minho watched the stars and thought about the future. The council was fracturing. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of it all. It was terrifying. It was dangerous. It was uncertain. It was exactly what humanity did best. The council froze the moment. Humanity left the table. 5 years had passed since the walkout. Minho stood at the observation window of Unity Station and watched the construction below. The station was a joint project of 12 species, all working together to build something the galaxy had never seen. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yuna joined him at the window. She had aged in 5 years. They all had. Building a new galactic order was exhausting work. It is, Minho agreed. Sometimes I can't believe it's real. The Free Systems Coalition now included 16 species. Some had left the council peacefully. Others had simply drifted away when the council stopped enforcing its authority. The council still existed, but it was a shadow of what it had been. The Krell delegation is waiting, Yuna reminded him. Minho nodded. This would be an important meeting. 5 years ago, the Krell had reached out secretly. They wanted to understand how humans had dared to leave. That first meeting had led to others. And now, today, something remarkable was about to happen. The meeting room was simple. Minho had insisted on that. No grand chambers, no formal protocols, just people talking to people. The Krell High Counselor floated into the room. It was the same being who had threatened Minho 5 years ago. The one who said humanity would not survive alone. Ambassador Minho. The Krell's telepathic voice was gentle now. Thank you for seeing us. Of course. What can I do for you? The Krell's silvery form pulsed with what Minho had learned was embarrassment. We wish to join the Free Systems Coalition. Minho had expected this, but hearing it still felt surreal. The entire Krell species? Yes. We have been debating this for 3 years. The decision is final. We wish to leave the council and join your alliance. Hana entered the room with Taeyang and Suji. They had all been part of this journey from the beginning. Now they were here for this historic moment. Why? Hana asked directly. 5 years ago, you told us we would fail. We were wrong. The Krell's voice carried genuine regret. We watched you thrive. We watched other species join you and flourish. We watched innovation return to the galaxy. And we realized what we had become. Taeyang pulled up data on his tablet. Your scientists have published 17 breakthrough papers in the last 2 years, the first significant Krell research in 4 centuries. Yes, the Krell confirmed. When we saw humans and others innovating freely, some of our youngest minds began to question. Why had we stopped asking questions? Why had we stopped searching for answers? The Council's order had made us comfortable, but it had also made us stagnant. Suji nodded slowly. You're not the first to tell us this. The Morphids said something similar when they joined last year. The Krell floated closer to the window, looking at the construction below. What is that structure? A research station, Minho explained. 12 species working together. Human engineers, Frell mathematicians, Plenari navigators, Karathi technicians, all collaborating on new jump technology. The Council would never allow such cooperation, the Krell said. Too unpredictable, too difficult to control. The Council was afraid of unpredictability, Yuna said. We embrace it. The Krell turned back to them. That is why we wish to join. But we must know, can you forgive us? We threatened your people. We tried to force you back. We were wrong. Minho walked over to the Krell. We all make mistakes. What matters is learning from them. If the Krell join the coalition, you join as equals. No species dominates. No species is subservient. Can you accept that? We can. We must. Our young people demand it. Over the next week, the Krell formally withdrew from the Council. 3 days later, the Morphids followed. Then, in a move that shocked everyone, the Velthrians submitted a request to join the coalition. Hana couldn't believe it. The Velthrians! They were the strongest Council supporters. The Velthrian speaker itself came to Freedom Point. Its crystalline body looked older somehow, dimmer. When it spoke, its voice was quieter than Minho remembered. Ambassador Minho, we owe you an apology. For what? For everything. We built the Council to prevent war. We had seen such terrible conflicts in our past, so we created order, rules, stability. But somewhere along the way, we forgot that life requires more than just avoiding death. The speaker pulsed with sad light. We watched you leave. We were certain you would fail. When you didn't, we were angry. When others followed you, we were desperate. But when the Krell left, we finally understood. Understood what? Taeyang asked. That we had created a cage and called it paradise. That we had chosen slow death over dangerous life. And that you humans, you impossible, stubborn, reckless humans, had shown us what we had lost. Minho felt a strange emotion. 5 years ago, he had walked out of the council chamber expecting conflict. Maybe even war. He had never imagined this. The Velthrians wish to join the coalition? He asked. If you will have us. We know we do not deserve it, but our young people are asking questions we cannot answer. They want to build new things, explore new places, dream new dreams. The old order cannot give them that. Yuna spoke carefully. If the Velthrians join, the Council will collapse. Only 8 species will remain. The Council is already dead, the speaker said. It died the moment you walked out of that chamber. We just didn't realize it yet. The Velthrians joined the coalition 2 months later. As predicted, the Council dissolved soon after. The remaining species either joined the coalition or became independent. After 3,000 years, the Galactic Council simply ceased to exist. Some called it the end of an era, others called it the beginning of a new age. Minho called it inevitable. 6 months after the Council's dissolution, Minho stood before the Coalition Assembly. It met on Unity Station, which was now complete. Representatives from 23 species filled the chamber. "Thank you all for coming," Minho began. 5 years ago, I walked out of the council chamber because I believed humanity needed to be free. Today I stand before you not as Earth's ambassador, but as a citizen of a larger community. He looked around the room. Krell, Velthrians, Morphids, Frel, Planari, Karathi, and a dozen other species he had never heard of 5 years ago. All working together, all free. The galaxy is messier now, he continued. We have disagreements, disputes, sometimes conflicts, but we also have innovation, growth, hope, because we're not trying to eliminate chaos. We're trying to build something strong enough to handle it. A young Frel delegate raised a claw. Ambassador Minho, what happens when new conflicts arise? What if species go to war? Then we'll deal with it, Minho said honestly. Together. Not by imposing order from above, but by helping each other find solutions. It won't always work, but it's better than the alternative. Hana stood. The council promised safety, but safety without freedom is just a comfortable prison. We'd rather be free and dealing with problems than safe and slowly dying. The speaker, now just a representative of the Velthrian people, pulsed with light. The council forgot that life is change. We became so focused on preserving what we had that we stopped creating new things. You humans reminded us what we had lost. Taeyang activated a display showing the galaxy. Look at this. 5 years of free development. Technology advancement has increased by 300%. New colonies have doubled. Trade has expanded to systems the council never reached. Cultural exchange is at levels we've never seen. And most importantly, Suji added, species are talking to each other. Not through council mandates, but through genuine interest and mutual benefit. Doyun, now a full ambassador himself, spoke up. My question is, what happens now? Where do we go from here? Minho smiled. That's the beautiful part. I don't know. None of us know. And that's exactly how it should be. The assembly continued for hours. They discussed trade agreements, scientific cooperation, dispute resolution, exploration rights, and 1,000 other details. It was messy. It was loud. It was chaotic. It was alive. That night, Minho returned to his quarters. Yuna was waiting with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Walking out that day? Minho thought about it. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we had stayed, if we had accepted their terms. Humanity would still exist, but would we still be human? What do you mean? Being human means reaching for more, building, exploring, questioning, dreaming. If we had let the council make us safe and comfortable, we would have lost that. We would have become something else. Yuna poured the wine. To humanity, then, for being too stubborn to sit still. And to all the other species who are learning to be stubborn with us, Minho added. They drank in comfortable silence, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were exploring new systems. Human colonists were building new worlds. Human scientists were discovering new things. And they weren't alone. Krell ships explored alongside them. Velthrian engineers worked with human technicians. Frel mathematicians collaborated with planari navigators. The galaxy was changing, not because one species forced change, but because many species chose it together. Minho thought back to that moment in the council chamber. The frozen silence when he announced Earth's withdrawal. The stunned faces of delegates who couldn't imagine anyone walking away. That moment had changed everything. Not because humanity was special, but because someone had finally been willing to say no to comfortable stagnation. Someone had chosen dangerous freedom over safe imprisonment. And once one species dared to choose, others found the courage to follow. The council had frozen in that moment, but the galaxy had started moving again, and it would never stop.